Everyone, we'll now call the monthly council meeting of February 20th, 2024 to order here at 6:32 p.m. We'll begin with an approval of the agenda, and before I call for a motion to approve the agenda, there is one amendment to the agenda under 6F. I have Resolution COS 24-015 with respect to a recommendation for council with respect to a tender for City of Summerside Water Pollution Control Center Biosolids Phase 2 upgrades. And so that's getting added to the agenda, unless anyone disagrees. So I will call for a motion to approve the agenda as amended, adding item 6F, Resolution COS 24-015. Moved, Councillor Gallant. Second, Councillor Cameron. All in favor of the agenda as amended, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as amended and before us. We begin every meeting with a land acknowledgement, where we acknowledge that the land on which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. At this point, I'll ask any councillor to declare a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda.
Yeah, just for 6A, B, C, and D, I will declare a conflict and sit that out.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. So at that time, we'll remind you, and you can remind us, and you know the drill. Great. At this point, we move on to minutes. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of minutes to approve. So I'm going to do them call for 2 votes. One first on the planning board, and then I'm going to put as I did last meeting, the monthly meeting, the special council meeting, committee of the whole, and the in-camera minutes together, if that satisfies everyone to save time. So I call for a motion for planning board, amongst planning board members, to approve the planning board meeting minutes of February 6, 2024. Moved by Councillor Duran, second by Councillor was not here. And that's me, because Councillor Morrison was recused himself. So I will second. We're back to the exact same question we had 2 weeks ago and didn't anticipate we'd be back to this question. But all in favor of approving the planning board minutes, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are adopted. I would call for a motion to approve the monthly meeting minutes of January 15th, 2024, the special council meeting of January 24th, 2024, the committee of the whole meeting of February 6, 2024, and the in-camera meeting of February 6, 2024. I look for a mover. Councillor McColman, second. Councillor Gallant, all in favor of adopting the minutes, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, those minutes are adopted. At this point, we move into item 3, which is the opportunity for accolades and recognitions. Councillor McColman.
Your Worship, we do have a presentation tonight to make to Lifehouse Summerside. And would you like to read the message from council?
You've got it, yeah.
Okay.
You've got the
And I think Susan and your counterparts are here, so maybe we'll get you to come up in just a moment. Okay. Dear Coldest Night of the Year sponsorship team, enclosed is a token of support from the City of Summerside for the Coldest Night of the Year and your upcoming event, raising funds to support Lifehouse Summerside. On behalf of Mayor Kuchar and the entire City Council, we are honored to contribute to such a worthy and meaningful event. We know that there's a great strong effort to serve individuals in our community who experience hurt, hunger, and homelessness. The dedication of your team and the impact of the Coldest Night of the Year event align with our commitment to making a positive difference in the community. So thank you for organizing this initiative. We wish you great success with it on behalf of the city, mayor, and council. And we hope that you will see positive outcomes on the funds that you have raised. So if you would like to come up, and if any of the councillors could quickly come up, we'll do this presentation with Mayor Dan. You wanna go first?
Who's taking the picture? What? I'm gonna stay up here. I'm always blocked, that's why I'm up here.
Yeah, see you guys there at 4 o'clock. Councilor Dougal?
Yes, thank you, Worship. I do have accolades. I want to send out a big thank you to all the residents in Prince County that came out to the Prince County Hospital Town Hall. You know, there was people from all over Prince County, and we sent a resounding message to the province over health care and the Prince County Hospital. And we had, Mayor and myself, we contacted municipalities, and it was a great turnout by everybody, and really appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Morrison.
I just would like to mention, and I may have some of this wrong. Recently in Ottawa was the host city for the Canadian Under-18 male and female curling championships. And on the men's side, it was won by a team from Newfoundland and Labrador. And the reason I bring that up is that there's a young man from Summerside who played second stone, and I believe vice skip was the, yeah. So in Summerside, we have a gentleman that's now a national champion, which is always nice to see, and I just thought I'd mention it. And I'd like to congratulate him. His name is Braden Snow, and he has some connections in this room. So congratulations to Braden Snow and his family, which is made up partially of Deputy Mayor Snow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. At this point, we'll move on to item 4, and we already kind of checked off item 4A. So we'll move to Explore Summerside. This evening, we have Rose Dennis, the Executive Director of Explore Summerside, here with us this evening to provide us with an update and information and guidance with respect to what Explore Summerside is doing for their Embrace the Seasons seasonal expansion tourism strategy here in Summerside and PEI. So welcome, Rose.
Great. Thank you for having me, Your Worship, fellow councillors. Sorry for the barge in earlier. I was just excited to be here and just was on autopilot. Thought I'd come on in. Didn't hear anything I shouldn't have. But thank you for the opportunity to be here and present the provincial strategy on how we will embrace the seasons for tourism. It's important to note as I go through this information that this is a strategy for leisure tourism specifically. It does not touch as much on our sports tourism or our meetings and convention tourism, all which play a part in the whole. But this is more specifically on how we will grow a leisure visitor outside of our summer season. So in the spring of 2021, we adopted charting the course of tourism in PEI over the next 2 years. And that strategy at the time was devoted to recovery from COVID-19, while using the disruption of the pandemic to drive systemic change that we saw tourism needed and help develop and deliver here in Prince Edward Island. The adoption of the strategy formalized a commitment to a 4-season focused approach on driving tourism value and its contribution to the prosperity of all islanders. Initiative 6.3 of the strategy outlined that Tourism PEI would work closely with PEI's regional tourism associations and destination marketing organizations, which is what Explore Summerside is for the city. And we were going to drive winter and shoulder season tourism development. To set out with these goals in the strategy for seasonal expansion, we had the strengthened mindset that tourism needed to be approached holistically as 4-season, and never will we undervalue the iconic summer and the seaside and the coastal destination that we can put in front of visitors, but we wanted to focus on creating a complementary strategic position and plan that showcased the products and experiences that we know would work well for us under the new lens of fall, winter, spring seasons. Also important to note, as a proud Summerside person, this deck doesn't have only Summerside images on it. It is the provincial slide deck that I'm using, as this is the official presentation that we put forth to industry. So every picture would be Summerside if I could, but you'll notice there's a few from around PEI. In PEI, we are fortunate to have that strong network of tourism-focused organizations and stakeholders. We've embraced a collaborative approach, which is really great because we think that working together, we will help shape and develop the tourism landscape. So within that, we had representatives from the regional tourism associations, which included North Cape Coastal Drive, which is important to us because Summerside is the gateway to North Cape Coastal Drive. We had Central Coastal, we had Points East, and then we had the destination marketing organizations, Explore Summerside, Discover Charlottetown, and of course, Cavendish Beach. We also included the Indigenous Tourism Association. We had a strong showing from Tourism PEI, Atlantic Canada, Canada Opportunities Agencies, of course, Tourism Industry Association of PEI took part in forming the strategy as well. The working group, as outlined just now by those made up of those people, we carried out research, we engaged, we consulted with our networks, our partners, our industry, and we developed an overarching framework to help facilitate the seasonal expansion for PEI. And following this, we then went out for public requests for support and engaged Banneken, which is a nationally renowned tourism-driven consulting agency out of Ottawa. We had them do additional research, facilitate stakeholder consultations, and develop an action plan to guide the implementation of the vision. A number of the activities outlined in that stakeholder gathering insight, we had question and answer presentation with over 170 industry members at Tourism Industry Day Conference held in early March of last year. We had key informant interviews with over 20 industry stakeholders. We had partners focus groups with 13 organizations and 5 industry table talks in PEI's tourism regions that went to the regions to hear what they wanted to say about regional tourism. And in that, we saw just under 50 businesses attend. As we well know, PEI has many competitive advantages that have resulted in it becoming a well-established destination, a beautiful coastline, we have beaches, we have natural environment, high-quality culinary, golf, and welcoming culture. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But while this benefited Destination PEI, it has also led to the concentration of visitor activity during July and August. This high degree of seasonality resulted in capacity challenges during the summer months and has contributed to operational and labor-related challenges for tourism operators. As a result, the seasonal dispersion of visitor activity is a key strategic objective within PEI's overarching tourism strategy. The seasonal expansion strategy is an overarching guide for facilitating the growth of tourism between November and April. So we're not just saying winter, we're not just saying fall, we're saying November to April is our seasonal expansion window, with our higher seasons being May through August. And September's included in there, although we did see a dip in September last year. We're working to build that up. So this strategy also is to align people amongst all tourism industry stakeholders in PEI and focus for detailed annual planning aimed at realizing a vision where PEI is four-season destination, where islanders welcome guests to experience our environment, our food, and our way of life. So that strategy is underpinned by three pillars. First, personal enrichment experiences. Secondly, Canada's Food Island experiences. And first-class trails. And it has an objective of four things. So we're going to do a reduction of seasonality. We are going to curate competitive products. And we're going to build awareness amongst target markets and cultivate community champions. And the pursuit of these objectives, we're going to strongly rely on strategic collaboration, community engagement, and leadership and unique delivery. So the how is really where we get into the meat of how we are thought-leading industry and helping them embrace seasonal expansion for leisure tourism. So we're going to create, and we're in the works of this now. We've evolved the working group. So the working group who helped strategize and work through developing the implementation plan, much of that working group has remained intact to carry forward the measurables to ensure that we are sticking to the implementation plan that we've set out for industry. And we are co-designing a monitoring and evaluation system to measure the expanded tourism performance year over year. We're going to make sure that we have key performance indicators there, so that industry, public, everybody involved in the strategy will be knowing where we are in the process. We're also activating a content library of November to April tourism marketing, so that has collateral, key messages, photos, videos that showcase and celebrate the season, which is important for all regions to be able to have their assets brought forward by Tourism PEI, so we show the unique properties of each region. And we'll be working with local, provincial, and federal governments, as well as private businesses, to ensure that key tourism assets and infrastructure remain open where possible and have them maintained and accessible to visitors, as well as some infrastructure improvements in order for them to look at winter as a viable option for them to have a longer impact in tourism. Next, we're going to facilitate the development of competitive products. So that means we have to create an environment that not only supports, but also contributes to the establishment of a tourism product that renders PEI a competitive and appealing destination during the expanded seasons. We'll be doing this by building seasonal expansion tourism prioritization criteria into new and existing funding programs and supports. Through Explore Summerside, we have run a number of these funding programs on behalf of ACOA and Tourism PEI. Currently, we still have two programs in play, and one is called the Micro Grant Program, which is facilitating small events or pop-ups or product development in the seasonal expansion time, as well as we have a larger fund called the Fall and Winter Product Development Fund, where it will actually help you invest in infrastructure in your business if you are tourism related. And those were sizable enough for our city. We had $75,000 in the Fall Winter Tourism Product Development Fund for fall and winter, and we had $15,000 for the micro grant development. We still have a bit of those monies left. They will not expire at the end of our fiscal. They will continue on into the new year. So we're looking forward to activating some more things through those funding funnels. We're going to collaborate on development of new activations that showcase food and drink over the expanded seasons. That's where Canada's Food Island comes into play. I happen to be the chair of the working group for seasonal expansion on behalf of the province. So I am attending these meetings as a representative of the working group, but also as a representative of our city. And we have met collaboratively with Canada's Food Island a number of times, and they are committed to taking their part of the pillar very seriously and have actually activated a lot of positive movements in showcasing the seasonal expansion, and been working with Summerside very closely as well in that. We'll provide training opportunities and workshops. We're going on best practice missions. They're not just good times, they are times for us to reflect on what's being successful out there in the world, to see how we can benchmark it and develop it and make it our own here back in Prince Edward Island. And we want to create PEI exclusive experiences that can only be had in PEI. We have to find those unique selling propositions and what our brand positions are in the seasonal expansion. So all new work and all very exciting. We need to build awareness, though, about this amongst destination stakeholders. So having this platform today, we're very grateful for this, to be invited by the municipality to share as a province where we're leading for leisure tourism. We're also solidifying that PEI is an attractive and compelling destination that does have things to do in the winter season. We wouldn't want anyone local to say, well, there's nothing to do. We want to be able to have everyone understand that there's a number of tourism events and experiences, and by that doing that, but with that, we're going to co-develop an events calendar that we share with residents and visitors, so we'll market to both. We'll develop a marketing campaign for the expanded season that is focused on PEI as a place that you can either raise or lower your heart rate. And that is in line with national messaging and standards for leisure tourism and keeping up with Canada as a four-season destination. And last but certainly not least, we're going to cultivate community champions. We're nothing without community. In Summerside, we have a community first vision on building tourism products. So really leaning into that as a province. We're going to support professional development of key tourism partners and allies by sending them to conferences and training and learning journeys. We'll develop a program to empower and activate the residents as tourism season expansion ambassadors, and establish a seasonal expansion tourism council or councils, if applicable, with a mandate to drive destination development in PEI during the November to April period. So without getting into all the implementation plan point by point, that is the high level expansion strategy for tourism in PEI. It's no small feat to undertake to try to realign people's first perceptions of Prince Edward Island, local perceptions of Prince Edward Island, but we're taking the first steps and we are moving along. There is still lots of work to be done in communicating from a provincial level down to our municipal levels, down to our residents, and we continue to drive that message to Tourism PEI that we need to be informed in the decision-making processes, what we think would work best for our regions and the province as a whole, and we continue to try to keep those working channels and communications open going forward. Sitting in the position of the chair of the implementation committee, I have a very good seat to have a chat oftentimes, and it is a privilege and it's an honor, and I will welcome any questions that you have on this new strategy for leisure tourism.
First off, just thank you, Rose, for providing council with the update. We certainly are a partner with Explore and with the province, and recognize all of the benefits, particularly with the respect to community first tourism products. And it's really exciting, and we're wishing you the best of luck. And I think I can speak for all of us to let you and your team know, and I know your team works closely with our city staff, that we are here as partners in all of this. So what we can do to help create more opportunities and products that work both for residents and visitors alike is great. Does anyone in council have any questions or anything they want to say? Councillor McColman?
I also, Rose, want to thank you for that presentation. You certainly pack a lot into the presentation of information.
I'll provide you
and,
my notes.
It's exciting, and I know that you are a real champion for bringing things to the area, and anything that has happened thus far, I think the residents have benefited greatly, and I just really appreciate the effort that you put in to make those things happen and building the partnerships with the city and all of the different departments, so thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor McColman. We're just off the back of a very successful 3-week winter festival that we held here in the city, the Winter Warmth Festival. Inside of that, we also hold a unique winter biking festival for a whole weekend, which is the only one in Atlantic Canada. It's actually east of Quebec. It's the only one that happens. So we're first in market, we're driving really hard, and the residents are picking it up, which means if it's good for a resident, it's great for a visitor.
And I just wanted to thank you for the presentation. Obviously, like Councilor McCormick said, there's a lot packed in there, and I'd like to get some notes as well. But also like to thank you for using a photo of Deputy Mayor Snow in the last slide.
Oh. I should have mentioned any resemblance to any councillors or important parties were merely coincidental and not designed on purpose. Asterisks.
That's great. Thanks, Rose. And yeah, maybe if you can share some of those notes that can be shared, that we can pass them around to council. That would be fantastic.
I'll forward the presentation on.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have yourself a wonderful evening. At this point, we move on to item 5, which is appointment to committees. There are no appointments tonight, so we'll move directly into item 6, the introduction and reading of bylaws and resolutions. Before we move into 6A, I think this is where Councillor Morrison steps out, having declared a conflict with respect to ABCD. That's it, to D, ABCD. At this point, I'll hand it over to Councillor Duran. Councillor.
Thank you again, Your Worship. I'll just get right into it, I guess. Resolution COS 24-010, 758 Water Street East, official plan amendment. Whereas an application was received from Mattel and Associates Limited to amend the future land use plan for PID number 73684 from institutional land use to commercial land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, Council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable. Conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that official plan amendment 0012 to amend the City of Summerside official plan be hereby formally adopted. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting held on February 6th, 2024. Official Plan Amendment 0012 to amend the City of Summerside official plan. The Council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by Section 18 of the Planning Act, hereby enacts as follows. The land use for PID number 73684, as shown on Schedule B of the future land use plan, is designated as commercial land use, hereby excluding it from its former designation of institutional land use under the City of Summerside official plan. And that resolution was moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 24-010, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Adams, is now on the floor. Any further comments or questions from members of council? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of Resolution COS 24-010, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor?
Resolution COS 24-011, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron. Whereas an application was received from Mattel and Associates Limited for a zoning amendment for PID number 73684 from institutional I zone to neighborhood commercial C3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0010, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read a first time at the council meeting held on January 24th, 2024. And whereas in accordance with section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, council shall consider the following general criteria as applicable: conformity with all requirements of this bylaw, conformity with the official plan, suitability of the site for the proposed development, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses, any comments from residents or other interested persons, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development and any projected infrastructure requirements, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources, impacts on city finances and budgets, other matters as specified in this bylaw and other matters as considered relevant. Be it resolved that zoning amendment 0010, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby declared as read a second time. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting held on February 6th, 2024. Zoning amendment 0010, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. The council of the City of Summerside, under authority vested in it by section 18 and section 19 of the Planning Act, hereby enacts as follows. The zoning for PID number 73684, shown on Schedule B of the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, is designated as neighborhood commercial C3 zone, hereby excluding it from its former designation of institutional I.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 24-011, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. Any comments, questions, statements from council? Seeing none, I'll move to a vote. All in favor of Resolution COS 24-001, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor?
Okay, these next three are relatively short. COS 24-012, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Barb Gallant. Whereas an application was received from Rattel and Associates Limited for a zoning amendment for PID number 73684 from institutional I zone to neighborhood commercial C3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. And whereas zoning bylaw amendment 0010, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, was read and declared as read at two separate meetings of council held on different days. Be it resolved that zoning bylaw amendment 0010, a bylaw to amend the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, be hereby formally adopted.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-012, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Gallant, is on the floor. Any comments, questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of Resolution COS 24-012, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor?
Resolution COS 24-013, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bruce McDougall. Whereas an application was received from Rattel and Associates Limited for a discretionary use for PID number 73684 to allow a medical office at 758 Water Street East in the neighborhood commercial C3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. Be it resolved that the council approve a discretionary use for a medical office at 758 Water Street East, PID number 73684, in the neighborhood commercial C3 zone under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw. This bears the recommendation of the planning board meeting of February 6th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor. Resolution COS 24-013, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor McDougall, is on the floor. Any comments, questions, statements from council? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor of Resolution COS 24-013, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Councillor, before you move on to the next resolution, we should find Councillor Morrison. There he is.
Just waking up. Resolution COS 22-014, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Adams, whereas there is a requirement to extend Caitland Avenue in order to create 2 new building lots and loop the water main. Be it resolved that City Council agrees to cost share the product with the property owner. This bears the recommendation of the Planning Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. Resolution COS 22-014, moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by Councillor Adams, is on the floor. Are there comments, questions, statements from members of council? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. With respect to Resolution COS 22-014, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor Duran. We are now moving on to, it's not right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure I can remember, item 6F. That is the resolution COS 24-015 that was added at the beginning of this evening's meeting. Councillor Glant, you have that resolution, as do all councillors. Councillor Glant.
Resolution COS 24-015, moved by myself, Councillor Barb Glant, seconded by Councillor Nick Cameron. Whereas tenders were called for the City of Summerside Water Pollution Control Center, WPCC Biosol Phase 2 upgrades, with a tender consisting of improvement of the dewatering process at the treatment plant by installing the second sedge fill. And whereas the following tender was received, the bidder came in at 15% HST. The amount was $1,014,875 over a 15-week period. And there is additional expenses of the City of Summerside Water Pollution Control Center Biosol Phase 2 upgrade are as follows. Cost of the sedge fill is $521,397.35. The engineering contract and additional project expenses, $1,162,027.65. Total expenses of the project, $2,698,300. Be it resolved that the tender submitted by Filter Incorporated of the City of Summerside, WPCC, Biosol Phase 2 upgrade in the total of $1,014,877.55, with 15% HST included, to be accepted. It is the lowest tender received in net specification. Be further resolved, in the addition cost of the purchase, engineering and additional project expenses be accepted to bring the total project cost to $2,680,300, 15% HST included. This bears the recommendation of City Council.
Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Resolution COS 24-015, moved by Councillor Gallant and seconded by Councillor Cameron, is on the floor. At this point, we'll open up for discussion from council, and as also had asked initially if Director of Finance Kristen Dunsford could just speak to this briefly to provide some additional background information. So, Kristen, are you able to speak first? And then we'll go to Councillor Cameron
Can
and
we
Councillor
just
Snow.
make a clarity on that? So there's a clerical error.
Correct.
1 million, I don't know what that is, actually, to be honest. So there's an extra number in the million on be it resolved. There's 8755.
It's 2 5s.
2 5s, I assume.
Same one?
Same thing.
Yeah, should be just 1 5.
Perfect.
So a centrifuge has been installed at the Great. A second centrifuge has been installed at the wastewater treatment plant, which will enable the city to handle more waste solids due to the growth within the city. When the components of this project were tendered, a council resolution was not obtained as the cost came in under budget. We now require a resolution to claim funding awarded through the Canada Community Building Fund, the municipal strategic component. The funding awarded under this program was $1.5 million on the $2.7 million project.
Any questions from council? Hearing none, then we'll move to a vote. As I would take a note, Councillor Snow has made note that the 1014875, the second five, should be removed, 0.90. So the motion as amended with the last five scratched out, at least it is online. So at this point, resolution COS 24015, moved by Councillor Gallant, seconded by Councillor Cameron. All in favor of said resolution, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is carried. Thank you, Councillor Gallant. At this point, we move into item 7, department reports. As always, we begin with finance. Finance Representative Councillor McDougall. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a report here by our Director, Kristen Dunsford. Our overdue utility accounts receivable as of February 13th, 2024 have increased, and the status is total overdue balance is $267,400. That's compared to $234,100 as of January 11th, 2024. It's approximately $47,500 of the overdue balance is greater than 60 days. Customers with overdue balances are strongly encouraged to call one of our customer service reps or email them at customerservice@summerside.ca to make payment arrangements to avoid disconnection services. Preliminary financial results for our fiscal year ending March 31st, 2024 are projecting a small consolidated surplus of approximately $104,900. This compares to our budgeted surplus of $5,300. We continue to review our projection with the individual departments and updating as required. The preparation number 24 to 25 capital and operating budgets is well underway, and Council has begun their deliberations with several meetings scheduled during the month of February. We expect to present this budget to businesses, nonprofit organizations, and residents on Tuesday, March 12th at 12 noon, and the vote on the budget will be Wednesday, March 27th at 12 noon. And just a reminder to nonprofit organizations who were approved for a community support grant for the fiscal year 2023-24 to submit their final report, which was due on December 31st. And thanks to those who have submitted their reports. That's a report, Your Worship. If there's any questions.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, to get to the next one. Next up, B, Councillor Snow, Department of Economic Development.
Thank you, Your Worship. The following is a brief update from the Department of Economic Development. Full report will be available online. The office and team has been busy putting the final touches on analyzing and strategizing on Summerside's clean tech strategy, completed during the later part of December. The work involves aligning and findings to the tactical plan for 2024. As identified in the report, Summerside is leading the clean tech sector in PEI and certainly within the top quartile nationally. But as identified, Summerside still has many opportunities to leverage of value with the proposition of Summerside to advance not only our carbon reduction plans, but also seed conversations with several clean tech business sectors. The next several weeks, the department will be speaking at several international and regional events to spotlight Summerside as a place to do business. Other activities for the department include continuing to foster investment relations, furthering advancements on several major infrastructure projects, and developing tactical approaches to some signature developments here in Summerside. This is the report from the Economic Development Office.
Thank you, Deputy Snow. Any further questions? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Corey Snow. Next up, Councillor Adams, representative for Emergency Services.
Thank you, Worship. For Fire Services, Ken Culleton gathered the report this month. So for January 2024, there were 35 calls dispatched, 4 medical first responder calls, 27 silent alarms, and 4 general alarms. And the medical first responder calls are ones that the firefighters have noted concern over, because that does it does take up time and resources, and I know all areas and paramedics and so on are feeling the pressure, but that's just an example of, in a month we had 4, so, and that's without any tourists, a lot of tourists and stuff around, so it's a high number. These numbers are consistent with the new average of having more than 1 call per day. Firefighters trained for 383 hours for the month. 6 new recruits have begun their level 1 training. These sessions will consist of more than 200 hours of indoor theory and outdoor practical sessions that will take most of the year to complete. Summerside now has 2 active solar farms within the coverage area. While as a city, this is a very large step to moving us towards net zero, it's certainly a new added responsibility for our fire department. We will be providing ongoing extensive training that will be needed to ensure readiness for an emergency associated with these utilities. There's just those little things we don't think about, same as like electric buses. You know, you'll see when you're driving by Three Oaks, they're lit up and stuff. It's just so they know what ones they can approach and what process they have to use if there's a fire. So thank you to them, because it seems like there's constantly another pressure they're feeling. Summerside Police Services have completed the hiring process for 2 part-time dispatchers to replace vacancies. I'd like to welcome Adam Chevery and Mariah Getson as part of the team. They have started their in-house training with a senior dispatcher. The police service have started the application process for full-time police officers. We are offering experienced police officers with 2 or more years of police experience to start at a first-class constable level. It's believed that this new process will assist in recruiting experienced police officers from other police agencies who want to relocate to PEI. 2 of senior staff attended a tabletop marine security exercise held at the Summerside Port Authority during the month. The purpose of this exercise was to test portions of the security plan in relation to emergencies and involve members of the community who will respond. The fire service was also part of this exercise. And just to sort of piggyback on that, Mitchell Shea, who was formerly with the city, is now CAO for the port. And I noticed that Mitchell's commented that he looks forward to a relationship with the city, and I know it has even gotten better in the past little while, since we had a working relationship with them and said we all need to get on the same page. So looking forward to that. All our police staff are now in the process of receiving trauma-informed training. The overall aim of this training is to ensure that services are delivered in a way that prevent further harm or re-traumatization for those who've already experienced psychological trauma. The police services staff are receiving training in ODARA. I don't know if they call it ODARA or whatever. This is an actual tool for estimating the risk that a domestic violence offender will assault a partner again. We would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Corporal Jennifer Driscoll on receiving the Holland College Distinguished Alumni Award. This award was given in recognition for her accomplishments and commitment to her profession. Jen is very worthy of this award and has served this community for the past 25 years with the utmost professionalism. And she's professional, and she's a tremendous person and a coworker. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Snow, do you have a question? Your mic is good. Any further questions, comments for Councillor Adams? Thank you, Councillor, and thank you, of course, to all of our firefighters and police officers here in the city. Next up, Councillor Morrison, a representative of Community Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. It was a steady month for the Dome in January. The Winter Adult Sports Social started and has a great attendance so far, along with youth sports social program being popular also. New Year's Eve celebrations took place at the Dome with hundreds of kids in attendance to participate in the programming. Planning for Islander Day, programming, and March break have been the main task, along with preparing for summer camps. Active Living remains busy with their active winter programs with outdoor facilities. The Winter Walk program began in January with great attendance. It was a steady month for aquatics for the aquatics department. The January Sensory Swim had 12 swimmers, and Aquafit classes had a great attendance, with the largest being 54 attendees. Private swimming lessons were busy with 59 swimmers in January. Meetings and conventions were busy with 20 hall rentals over the month, also setting up for a virtual tour of the meeting and convention places in the facility. The box office saw 4 Caps games and had good attendance. Sports, entertainment, tourism, Summerside had a big month in January, announcing 5 national championships, including the following: the 2024 21U Women's Baseball Nationals, the 2025 Mixed Doubles Curling Championship, the 2025 U21 Canadian Curling Nationals, and the 2025 and 2026 15U or U15 Ray Carter Cup. Planning for this year's Somerset's events is well underway. Parks and green spaces have been keeping the outdoor facilities maintained and the trails groomed. They have also been busy building and maintaining ice at the Skierman's Park and the Oval. And just, I want to thank JP for that. And I'm not sure if the ice is still ready up in the Oval to skate on. I assume it probably is right now. But I happen to see the long range for next week. If you want to skate this winter, I suggest you skate in the next few days. It doesn't look promising for outdoor ice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Any further questions, comments for Councillor Morrison? Great. At this point, we'll move on to Representative Cameron, representative for Human Resources and Legal Services. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's been a strong interest in the police constable sponsorship program. Applications closed on February 16th with interviews to follow. A recent posting for experienced officers has closed, and interviews are being held in the next 2 weeks. The department staff are working hard to complete T4s for 2023 and will be sent out by the end of February. First aid, CPR, AED training is scheduled for staff on February 28th and March 7th. The department promoted Participaction's Move for Your Mood Challenge and also Canada's Mental Health Association's Push-Up Challenge to all staff. Department staff continue with preparing for implementation of the employee self-service program for time off requests. And I will put out to all departments that I was at Culture Summerside, and they are actively doing the push-up challenge, so other people should also do that. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Questions? Councillor Morrison, you've got your mic on there, but I'm guessing you just left it on. Moving on to Councillor Gallant, representative for Municipal Services. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Works, Water, Sewer, Utility highlights. The 3-4-day storm in early February kept Public Works, snow removal, resources very busy with the cleanup and transporting of snow throughout the city. All equipment performed extremely well with no breakdowns for the hard-working performance. The 2023 Water Sewer report will be published on the website in March of this year. These reports give the public access to the operating status and water treatment and portable drinking water for the residents of the city. It shows the data on the different qualities in the deposit of the harbor and the Monbulk Bay, as well as the drinking water quality along with the chlorine testing. Electrical utility highlights. The power plant ran many times throughout the month to support the electrical load with the city of Summerside and the western half of the province past Sherbrooke substation. Along with the diesel engine needing not to run, there were days when the new solar farm produced enough energy into Summerside electric grid that the diesel energies were shut down. With the solar and wind renewable energy, it reduces the load of Summerside Electric to the rest of the island without the need of running diesel engines, saving some GHG emissions from diesel fuel. The winter electrical load on the Summerside electrical grid has increased by 10% over last January's load. This is due to the fact that the province heat pump and water heating program installed over 1,200 appliances in Summerside along last year, with the higher growth than ever in development and building permits. The winter preparedness of the operational staff to strengthen the system for the increasing load is showing its benefits so that the end of our customers can be met. Customers are reminded that regular maintenance of heat pumps are critical to the effectiveness to assist with lessening the load on the grid during peak times between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. every day of the week. This is the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Glant. Any questions from council? Hearing none, we'll move on to Councillor McColman, representative for Culture. Councillor?
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening, fellow councillors. I'd like to thank Director Laurie Ellis for the preparation of this public report. It captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from mid-January through to mid-February time period. The 2024 Mayor's Heritage Tea, Heritage and Cultural Awards will take place on Friday, March the 15th. The Mayor's Heritage Tea, as I've just mentioned, for March the 15th, there will be 11 City of Summerside Heritage and Cultural Awards, which will be presented at the tea, representing a wide range of heritage and cultural activities within the community in 2023. National Flag Day took place on February the 15th, and Culture Summerside celebrated that birthday of the national flag through a very informative and lively vignette presented by PEI actor and musician Mark Haynes. We invite you to watch the short video, and it's there indicated in your reports, and I believe it's on YouTube, and it's very, very interesting. A lot of good information, and he's a tremendous musician and singer. 60 Days of Fame exhibition series. It's entitled A View from the Farm, featuring the works of the Summerside Art Club, which is now at the Lafergie Cultural Center, 205 Prince Street. Formed as a painting circle, the Summerside Art Club has been providing support and encouragement to local artists for over 60 years. This exhibition will be on display from February 1st through to March 29th. There's some wonderful paintings and many different farm scenes to really show our island. Summerside Lobster Carnival 2024. Culture Summerside is currently working on the development of the 2024 Summerside Lobster Carnival program. Details will be announced over the coming weeks. This year's entertainment is an exciting lineup of island and maritime talent. Returning to the 2024 Carnival is the East Coast Amusements, Midway, culinary demonstrations, and taste testing with Chef Robert Pendergast. There's also a PEI Youth Talent Search, lobster suppers, lobster trap stacking competition, cardboard boat races, try to say that 3 times, community barbecue, and the Summerside Lobster Carnival Parade, and much more. As far as the grants, Culture Summerside has been awarded a grant from the Community Museums Association Museums Development Grant Program to further our work in the areas of collections management, more specifically the intellectual order, standards of care, and storage for artifacts. And that concludes my report, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them or pass them on to Director Laurie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. Moving along, Councillor Duran, representative of Technical Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. Oh, got a shock from the microphone. Thank you to Aaron McDonald for preparing the report this evening. Preparations for the 2024 construction season have begun, and a number of private construction projects will continue throughout the winter. Staff are continuing with the process of preparing budgets for the 2024 capital projects. Staff have started the preliminary stages of designing and preparing some tenders for this upcoming season. This work will continue over the next couple of months. It is anticipated that the first few tenders will go out in early April to be ready for May construction starts. 10 building permits with a value of just over $500,000 were issued for the month of January. We issued 1 commercial permit for an alteration and 1 for an industrial addition. On the residential side, we issued permits for 1 change of use, 1 mini home placement, 3 for additions or alterations, 1 for a sign permit, and 2 for demolition. The province is adopting the 2020 edition of the National Building Code. As per the city building bylaw, the code is automatically adopted by the city. Permit applications submitted starting April 1st, 2024 will need to meet the requirements of this new edition. Developers are stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their proposed projects for next year, which I guess is this year. Now is also a great time for our citizens to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for 2024. And thus concludes the technical services report for February.
Any questions for Councillor Duran? Hearing none. Thank you, Councillor.
Your Worship.
Yes,
It's
Councillor
not
McCollum.
so much an announce or question. I just wanted to, on behalf of Mayor and Council, just congratulate Councillor Justin and Kendra on the very safe arrival of their baby boy, Clark. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor McCollum. You seem to get a lot of pleasure out of that one. On that good news, we'll adjourn our meeting for this evening and wish everyone the best. And we'll see council in a couple of days as we continue with budget deliberations.